12 of the Decoded podcast.
It's the About Time podcast.
It's about time, bro.
It's about time. It's about time.
I
So
gotta. Oh, go ahead.
you lead off on that.
I was just gonna say, as I was saying the intro, I had a big smile on my face, and that's a good thing for me.
Why is that?
Because the muscles in the face that do the smile thing talk to my brain and say you should be happy now for a little bit.
Oh, all right. All right.
I like that trick, but I also felt good. I
That
also
little bit of magic. I like that magic.
I felt good dropping the decoded line
The
just
call sign.
as we get started on this Saturday morning, and I'm not feeling so great, but the on-ramp has given me a little bit of life. So I like that. I like that. And Rochelle is in early with us today. Good morning, Rochelle. Happy Saturday. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving weekend.
Good morning, Rochelle. GM. I like that. I like the Cody GM. I've started to use stuff like that. GM, NP for no problem. Though generally I don't like the phrasing no problem. That's but I'm starting to use some of those short forms, even with parents.
This is the one I'm going to use when next time I send somebody an email in the morning. GM.
I like that. GM. Oh, crap.
What happened?
Well, I just tried to. Okay, I'm going to try another way. You might get an email. Ignore it to your Gmail.
Okay.
I'm trying to get. Oh, come on.
Are you going to request to take it back after you've sent it?
No. What it is I'm trying to. Remember, I told you I didn't have the latest password for
Decoded.
For Decoded.
Right.
So here's what it's trying to do. It's telling me that it wants me to get my Galaxy S21 5G phone to do the approval process.
I hate that.
So, well, I don't hate it. I'm just trying to find the way. I'm trying to find the way that lets me in. And I'm not, because this is added, right? This is added since you and I started the pod. And, we talked last week and you adjusted the password, which is fantastic. But it's asking me to authenticate.
I know, bro. And you don't have your phone beside you, right?
Do you have this still? Can you authenticate? Can you authenticate on your end?
So nothing's come up on my phone saying.
Well, it says check your Galaxy S21 5G.
Oh yeah. Okay, I just authenticated. There's a number.
Put the number 94 in there.
Okay.
Thank you.
You've been authentic. Oh, it's now asking for another number. Did you do it twice or 3 times?
I might have, but I think it worked. I think
it
worked. I don't want to add any note about it. Okay, I'll be able to tell.
I didn't know I could do. Well, it makes sense. It's our account, but
okay. So now, I'm into the Gmail, so we're good. We're good.
Oh, hold on.
Uh-oh.
It when you say that it was asking for authentication,
yes,
you don't have access to that because I created the account.
Possibly, but I know it asked me to go to a tablet. It asked me to send it. So you probably also have an authentication thing that went to your Gmail account.
Probably, but it also came to this phone. So that's
yeah, well, I said send it to the phone because I thought I could actually do it. I thought I could send it to my phone, but it went to whatever was set as the original thing. So I don't know if maybe while I'm in here in the settings, I'll see if I can add in my phone as one of the authenticating things.
Smart.
I'll see if I can. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see. There we go.
Can I jump into something?
I would put on that bathing suit head first. Go.
Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Gary.
I want to jump in because Gary got an earful from me this week. A friggin' earful. So this is perfect. Gary pops up. Good morning, Gary. Great to see you here. Activates my thought about. I messaged Gary, I want to say closer to the start of this last week, and I just peppered him. And it was bad attitude peppering because it was like, I was pissed about work, pissed about e-learning. Like, I was pissed. I hit some kind of wall where I was like, I was like, I'm here doing the things I'm supposed to be doing, but there's still a lot of carnage going on around me. Which which I'm gonna fast forward because nobody needs to be bored with how I peppered Gary with negative attitude. Uh, and he was good. He came back. He At no point did he tell me to go F myself, which I was kind of waiting for. That didn't happen. So thanks, Gary.
Positive, that's
I
positive.
appreciate that. But I came to the conclusion, which is hilarious because I'm a middle-aged guy, so you'd think that I probably have made this conclusion a zillion times before. But I came to the conclusion, it doesn't matter how much I do or when I do it or how I do it. There are other people around me who hold pieces of the puzzle. So the puzzle is never complete until everybody works together to do their part. And I'm walking around going, I've done my part. Have you done your part yet? And I'm trying to do it in a gingerly way and polite and professional when really I just want to take a megaphone to the person's ear and just do your part. Do your part. Why are you waiting till the why are you waiting for the 11th hour to do your part? So, I just wanted to say what a great awareness that I can do. I have done everything and anything that I'm aware of to do in order to fulfill my duty at work. And yet I found myself at the 11th hour, this hour that everybody who's trained me this year so far has talked about. Everybody's mentioned the 11th hour. They're like, "Oh my god, yeah, in the 11th hour you're going to da da da." I'm like, "No, I'm not." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm not an 11th hour kind of guy. I'm more like a third hour kind of guy. My 11th hour is the 4th hour, not the 11th, the 4th. And then there's a huge gap between 4 and 11. That's my emergency hour." And they're like, "Oh, Roland." They just kind of, "Oh, Roland." And I'm like, "Oh, Roland, what?" Like, what do you think I'm doing at home every night? What do you think? This is my favorite. Someone tells me, "Oh, Roland, have you done X, Y, and Z yet?" I'm like, "Oh, I wasn't aware of X, Y, and Z." They're like, before they finish the sentence, I'm gone. It's one of those things where they look down to read something off of a document for me, and then they look up. They're like, "Where's Roland?" Roland's gone to do X, Y, and Z. And they're like, "Well, you don't need to do it now." I'm like, "Oh,
Yes, I do.
oh,
Yes, I do. Or
you want."
I'm not even there anymore. But my mind is like Looney Tunes Roadrunner feet. Yes, I do.
But they're before I can even I'm gone because I'm not interested in the 11th hour, but
Mm-mm.
that's what they're referring to because they keep saving up all these things that it doesn't need to be done now. It needs to be done in the 11th hour. And I'm like, "No, I'm not going to do that." So in the 11th hour, people were saying to me, "Oh, don't forget this and don't forget that." And I thought to myself, I've been talking to you about this process for a month.
Mm.
How come
Mhm.
this wasn't mentioned? Now, I'm not like I wasn't being negative or mean. I was just saying, how come I've been working on this for a month and only now am I learning about X, Y, and Z? What happened? Like, did I miss it? Was it in a document that I read when I was tired? I don't understand. And then I understood that because certain things in the process happen at the 10th and 11th hour that are not in my control. They're in somebody else's control. So somebody else is doing whatever they're doing in their 4th hour and it's not on their radar to tell me, "Oh, don't forget or be aware these things need to happen." Now I know that they have to happen, but unfortunately, I was informed during the 11th hour, which then everybody around me is like, "We told you you'd be working in the 11th hour." And I'm like, "You told me I'd be working the 11th hour because of my slackerness, but it's not because of me being a slacker. It's because there are lots of people who hold parts of the puzzle, and I guess they're called in at certain times. Now that I know how the puzzle's put together with respect to this aspect of my job, I'll do my best to not forget. But there's literally like 200 pieces, and I don't know how I'm supposed to remember them all, but I'll get to that later. Long story short, um, yeah, I ended up in the 11th hour, and I'm like looking around and I'm saying to people, no, no, why did you drag me to the 11th hour? I have been done. And when I told everybody I was done, nobody said about X, Y, and Z. They're like, oh, that's great. I'm like, awesome. I'm going to go do other things now. And then we get to the 11th hour and I'm like, I'm ready. Oh, this isn't working. Oh, lots of things not working either, right? Like, oh, this program's acting funny. And my favorite thing was in the middle of my process, I asked about a certain way of operating within this program. And I was told you need to go back in there and you need to delete everything you did. And I said, no, because I did it right. So why am I deleting it? Well, because if you don't delete it, then we're screwed. Because there's three of us in this process. I was doing it the way I was told, and then I was told you're gonna have to go in and change it because and I said I don't want to. I'm not changing it. And they said, well, if you don't change it, it's gonna screw us. I said, okay. Mental note. You're telling me that you're going to get screwed by something good that I did. So I need to remember that to tell you that when you do something good, how it's screwing me and you need to change it. So Gary's probably like, oh, this is where Roland lost his mind. And then he started texting me. So, um, so I did what I was told. So I did my job the first time. Then I deleted my job the second time. And then when we got to the third time, they said, oh, your papers won't print because of the way you did this. And I said, I was told to do it like that. I did exactly what I was told to do. And part of me is the 10-year-old Roland sitting right beside me. The 10-year-old Roland is sitting beside me and he's trying not to cry because he feels he's a big failure all the time. And I'm like, relax, man. We're good. We're doing our job. We're learning. You can just relax. And he's like, no, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. And I'm like, no, little Roland, take it easy. So while little Roland's there, here's little Roland, by the way. Here's little Roland. This guy's sitting beside me, okay? Just imagine his beard's kind of messed, but it's okay. He's sitting beside me, and I'm like, no, dude, relax. So for him, I'm telling everybody that'll listen to me, I did my job. Please don't tell me I didn't do my job. Please don't tell me, you were slacking off. You waited till the 11th hour. No, I didn't. So this is how it ended well, I think. No, I've not gotten any emails saying things didn't work, but it ended with the lead secretary of the school that I work at. Well, there's
Mhm.
2,000 kids, a zillion staff. This lady was basically holding my hand for an hour. And I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this. You're not supposed to be doing my job. I kind of did my job twice already, but when it was all said and done, anybody who knows me could see the disdain on my face. I could not, there was nothing that was going to make me, there was nothing was going to work. I was
Mhm.
disdain. I was bothered, visibly
Mhm.
bothered with this. She does what she does and she says to me, and she was really nice too the whole time. She's like, okay, we're all done. It's all yours now. You can jump back in whenever you want. I just said to her politely, I said, I'm not going to be jumping back in. And she kind of gave me this look and she's like, oh shit. Like I was like, I'm not going back anywhere near that program for this day. I'm finished. I'm done. Even if my boss says this isn't done, you need to get to it. No, I'm done for today. I'm not going back in there after what just happened. And you know what I did? I went back to room 208. And when I walked in, people were like, you need to leave. We don't need you in here. go do blah blah. I'm like, no, I need to be with the kids, because if I'm not with the kids, I'm gonna kill somebody. So just unless you literally tell me I'm not allowed to be in here right now, it's period 5. I'm on duty in this room. I just want to work with the kids. I actually want a kid to give me attitude about their math test, so I can remember why I'm there for the
Mm.
kids. And anyway, so I don't even remember how we got onto this because of Gary. So Gary got blasted in text form, and nothing Gary was going to say or do in those 15 minutes was going to make me was going to change me. Um, look of disdain warranted. You should have seen, if my wife was there, she would have been so embarrassed. She would have been like, "What is wrong with you? You can't be like that at work." And I'm like, 30 days. 30 days I've been working on this project, doing everything I was told, doing it before they finish a sentence, I'm gone and it's done. And they're like, "You're so fast. You're so efficient." And then I find myself in the 11th hour with my finger up my nose in the main office waiting for everybody to help my problem.
Mm-hmm.
Middle-aged man. Dude, there we go. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Rochelle.
I got lots of thoughts. So right back in the beginning, it's funny that you got me thinking about when you were talking about the do your part. Do your part. Um, I could be the guy that you're saying that to, because I will say definitely you being the 4-hour deadline person, I'm a little bit like that. I'm a little bit like that, but I'm not. I don't often care about other people's 4-hour deadline. So I do look at collective deadlines if there happens to be that. And I am that guy. I will say, much to the frustration of my teams. So, like you, I hear a thing that I needed to take care of, and I'm chasing squirrels right away. I'm out of there. It's like, where's Clough? I've actually heard that. I've heard that being said as I'm walking down the hallway. They're still, they turn to grab something, and I'm out the door, and I hear someone say, "What? Where's Clough?" And I hear someone else in the office say, like, he just walked out the door. And then as I'm walking down the hall, I will send a text or an email saying, "I'm good. My phrase is, got it, on it." That's my short. Someone asked me to do something. If it's just it's been assigned to me, or a parent, even parents, I'll do the double fist bump, two fists coming together. You might have seen I've done that to you once or twice. And the code that I will sometimes add to that is got it, on it. Or I'll say understood, got it, on it. And I'm off. It's the sir, yes, sir. And I'm off and running. And I've been out the door when someone is like, "Where did the Clough go?" And then I swear I also heard the doot doot. That's me sending them a text like, "I'm halfway down the hall taking care of this thing." Because part of it is, I also know, is that if there's any adjustments or clarifications or curiosities, they're just going to message me. I don't need to stay standing there if the time is what I'm trying to be efficient with. It's the first part to that. The got it, on it. Um, the second part to that, though, is I'm not checking back with them to telling them that I've done my work. Unless there's someone, the only person I ever double back in, like when it comes to teamwork, the only person I ever check back with is the individual that I'm directly accountable to. So if my head has asked me to do something, it's got it, it's understood, got it, on it. And then I will just reply to that communication string, done. That's it. I won't necessarily walk back in the room. I won't sit down with the group. In short, dude, if you weren't my boss, I'm not checking back in with you on that 4th-hour deadline. And in the end, I've had people quite pissed off at me coming back to me, and they will say, "Have you taken care of that thing?" And I'm like, "Yep, a week ago." And they're like, "What?" Because now they're at this deficit of time where they were waiting for me to do a thing, expecting me to check back in with them to say the thing was done. But they're not. They're just kind of part of the network. They're not the actual top, right? So I am not the guy. I don't send. I've told you about my theory of meetings as well. This is very much in the theory of meetings. I send the email. I do the communication as robust as possible. If my audience is via email, it's going there. If the audience is via Gmail, it's going there. If the audience is the Google Classroom, it's going there. But I'm not the guy that says, giving you a reminder 15 minutes before the meeting. Oh, by the way, come to the meeting. And I've had people walk in partway through a meeting and they're like, why? Well, why didn't you tell? I'm like, that's not for me to do. I'm not going to spend my time doing that. So yeah, my students have recently started to say, yo, Clough, you're built different. All this week, when I was sort of laying down some of my kind of explaining how I operate, the kids at one point, they're like, you're built different. I'm like, I am. But when you started talking about that 4-hour deadline, I figured that's you. You're welcome to operate that way. But if your 4-hour deadline means that you're getting something done on Tuesday and it's not due till Friday at the end of the day, I'm going to flex and use that deadline. I'm going to organize my systems according to what's good for me. So I think people like you and me are good to have in teams, but I've also found like people like you and me sometimes are in opposition sometimes just because of how we want to deliver. And I don't mean in a negative way. I think it's kind of robust. I think it's a good way to kind of go. And I have a suspicion that's been affirmed because you put your hand up. I know you want to say something on this. I guess I saw that. I'm sensitive to it. I suspect that when you're talking about that 4-hour deadline, it's not as simple as what is our individuated deadline. It actually is where you met your deliverable and then someone says, gotcha, by the way, there's this other thing. Oh, sorry. Yes, you have to do this now. Like it's these other kind of tethers that, like you said, you were shown the way. Part of this is like, it's a heavy moment to be in because I'm going to suspect, I'll speak for me, even as I'm saying I'm not going to do that thing, I know I'm going to do that thing, but I might be running out the door. Again, I'm out the door on it, got it. I'm just doing it pissed off now as opposed to feeling strategic. The fact of it is that even somebody else's mistake, no matter how we push it off and say it's not on us to fix because we were shown the right path, ultimately can be up to us to fix. Now, last thing I'll say in this would be a beautiful moment to send a Gmail to the future. A beautiful moment, because when it comes to the paperwork within Spec Ed, it's very much on cycles. So you could, at that moment, as you're on it, got it, understood, out the door, done, also send yourself a Gmail to this time next year, or maybe lag it, or make it a week earlier. Yo, by the way, Chids, last time this year, so-and-so told you to do it this way. Remember, it doesn't go that way. Do not go that way. Or deal with your fourth hour deadline. Send it a month ahead of time. Remember, sometime in the next 30 days last year, someone told you the wrong thing to do. You're probably good. You probably know better now, but just remember this kind of happened. So don't fall into that trap for yourself if you want to maintain your sort of yes, sir, yes, sir, get it done fast. I will tell you, I never want to be on someone else's list for not having something done properly. Never. And you had sort of, you touched base. I appreciate the Polo saying, I was having some feels about the IEP. I am now officially, like, my IEPs are done. They're done probably to 95%. I have some feedback that I have to implement this weekend from one of the administrators. All good. But I'm not about to be on anyone's list for not being able to do that in the on it, got it, done, understood framework. I never want to be on somebody else's like, oh yeah, by the way, you know what Clough did? And people that I've found them and had discussions with them. What was that about? Like, what were we actually talking about here? Because again, you might, yeah. If I happen to be on your list, I will get myself off your list. I'll get myself off your list. So, yeah. So I think you're built different too. I'm passing that to you as a toast for the morning. Here, give me because you got to make sure. There we go. Cheers, bro. You're built different too. And I'm really coming to appreciate finding the individuals that are built different. And even even though you and I are different, we're also different. Like I'm doing the like camaraderie thing here. Yeah, we're on team different. But I also understand by being on team different, we also have to be tolerant of the fact that you and I may be in opposition in the way that we do things. And then we just come back and chat it out, right?
So this is the perfect segue because I don't mind that you're an 11th hour kind of guy. That's awesome that you know how you roll.
Mhm,
Get out of my way. Don't
mhm.
get in my way with your
Yeah.
11th hour stuff. That's all. Look, we're friends. Don't get in my way because of your stuff. Just like
Mhm, mhm,
I'm going to try not to get in your way with my stuff. So 11th hour, go nuts, man. That's your thing. Don't drag me down with your thing just like I'm going to try not to drag you down with my thing. That's that's my perspective on that. So because some of the people I work with are 11th hour and they've told me they were laughing the other day at me trying to help me feel better saying, "I'm an 11th hour kind of gal." And I'm like, "That's awesome if you roll that way. I That's great. I don't have an issue with that. What I have an issue with is is you bringing me down. I asked you what the deliverables were. I said probably a million times, what am I responsible for? Because I'm not interested in being on somebody's list because I'm not doing my job.
mhm.
I take pride in my work, and sometimes I'm a robot. Okay. I was talking to a teacher the other day. He came in to talk to me about something. He mentioned a name. I'm like, oh, that kid. I said, I need to email you. Why? Because I created an IEP for him the other day. You did? Yeah, his OSR came in. It was handed to me. And then I went and I was in my hole for my lunch and my prep period. And in that time, I created the best possible IEP I could based on my OSR review. And I was all proud of myself, right? And he's like, oh my God, really? I'm like, yeah. And he's just looking at me like, that's insane. I'm like, well, that's my job. That's what I do. That's part of my job.
Mhm.
And as he was looking at me with disdain, I was proud as punch because I did my job. And then it was like, oh, okay, two humans are talking here. So what's wrong with this? Like, let's talk. How can I help you? How can I be of service to you? I just what are the deliverables? And I guess the moral of this story in a way is that I think this is how I'm going to play this in my head, that there are deliverables I'm responsible for, but it's kind of like a joke that nobody's going to tell me till the 11th hour because
Oh
that's just the
god,
way that they roll.
the joke.
And I mean that in the I say that with sincerity. I'm not saying that with disdain. I'm saying that I think part of the game is, guess what? You're not really done. You still need to do X, Y, and Z, and it's due in an hour. And I'm like, oh. So instead of being angry at the world, and destroying everything in my path. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I remember this part of the game. This
Hulk
is
smash.
this is
Hulk
the,
smash.
Hulk Smash EDU. This is the Roland card. Here's the card, Roland. We saved this for you because it's the 11th hour, and there's no way that you can get all your work done in 4 hours." I'm like, "Okay, okay, but if it doesn't get done, then I'm gonna rain on all of you." Because like I said to my program head, I don't know what she thinks of me. She laughs, which is good, but I said to her the other day, I said, "Who do I need to talk to about all of this?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "This is unacceptable. The program we're using, the timelines, the administrative component, it's not acceptable. I've been doing this job for a long time. I take great pride in my work. If you look at my teacher performance appraisals, they're all good. So you can't tell me I'm not good at my job because I have proof that says I am. So
Mhm.
what is left? What is left for me to say? Who's going to discredit me and how are they going to discredit me? This is not good. What's happening here is not good. And yeah, maybe it is just the way, right? We've talked about that. This is just the way we do it. This is how it's done. I think it's time for me to talk. And she's looking at me like, "Well, you can tell whoever you want." And I'm like, "Awesome." So I said to her, "Be prepared that you're going to probably get an email from somebody along the way saying, 'Who's this guy and why didn't he go through you first?'" I'm done playing that game. I'm telling you, I'm gonna be sending emails. They're
It's
probably
very
gonna tell
kind.
me to
It's very
ignore.
kind of you to do that.
Well, she is my program head, so I'm like, I'm gonna be complaining. This is not appropriate. This is we ask for help and they just ignore the calls for help. Somebody take action. Somebody say, "Oh,
Mhm.
you're not getting help." Right? "Oh, you think we're gonna help you with that? No, we're not." You know me, I would prefer that than just be left hanging.
Mhm.
Just friggin' tell me. I almost dropped the F bomb there. Just
Yeah, you're
tell me you're
close.
not gonna get any help or we don't know what to do. So, but we'll make a decision at the 11th hour because we don't want to deal with it right now. This has been a great experience because it's a reminder that I can't control everything. And even I
Sure.
can't control. So I'm happy that I'm a fourth hour kind of guy because stuff art is going to pop up in the 11th and I don't need your stuff to pop up while I'm still working on my stuff. So I would prefer to get my stuff done so that when your stuff comes up, I don't have to worry about my stuff too. I can just worry about your stuff, right? Because the 11th hour type of person might have to deal with all kinds of stuff in the 11th hour. That's the way I see it. And I used to be an 11th hour kind of guy. It stopped when I was in grade 11 or 12 is when I decided I can't live like this anymore. It's not good for me. And God gave me that gift when I was like 17 years old. You're not this type of person. Adjust.
Don't be that guy.
Gary said he had a similar experience this week where he completely finished a project. By the end of the week, someone adds a new wrinkle that caused him to have to redo some of the job. I don't know the you know what I this part here is like a lack of respect for people's time outside of work. I have a life outside of my work and I like to live that life.
I think though part of that is, and I've mentioned to other people about this, and this is like going back Tina Zeta. What was the minimalist? There was the book club, minimalism, minimalist. I forget what it was. I'd have to look that up. And in that conversation, somehow we came back to talking about return on investment, our ROI in education. And ROI is big in small businesses and side hustles because you always are trying to look at what input output. What's your input output, profit loss, and these things that you're constantly, these moments that you're navigating, looking at the bottom line, whatever that dollar sign is. Now, there's this, it's a currency. So if you're talking about time, I think if you're talking about time, okay, let's clarify. What's the currency here? Time, quality of life, um, mental wellness. I think it's really important to nail down the currency, not, I guess the currency, maybe that's not the currency I was addressing. The outcome, like what is your return you're looking for? Because in the discussion with Tina way back in the day, I posited that not only not only is um the starting point is not only does the education system not care about returning us anything on our investment, the second layer to that is they are more than happy to take our work and not bother attributing, to take our creativity and make it seem as if it was because of education that we are that creative, to also expect that once we deliver at a certain level, that we should always stay there and it's our fault if we don't. So I start from those three operating philosophies, which then leads me to the expectation that anyone in the system, the humans or the system itself, is obligated to understand our mental wellness and our need for a return investment. The only person that can maintain that accountability chain is you. That's it. No one, and I go there because of what you said, don't they understand that idea that somehow I should be noticed in a profit loss mode, or I should be noticed because I'm frustrated, or I should be noticed because of my wellness. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be noticed. I would actually go the other route, and I've advised many, both young and seasoned teachers, take your cut first. Take your cut up front. Take your cut constantly so that you no longer question your value by saying, why don't they notice? You question your own value, your own input, your own professionalism, if we're expecting that, singularly expecting our administrator, our department head, the system, the SO, the director to somehow notice what we're doing. It is up to us, I think, to singularly insulate and silo that in a way that we can just build up our riches and keep that a perpetual motion, because we know that we're inputting into our own career. Now, to get outside the silo, that's the next level, because now we're talking about marketing, we're talking about influencing, we're talking about leadership. So that's a next level thing. But I have advised other people that if you're expecting to be noticed in anything, for someone to stop and drop, lean in your doorway, you got the stuff, buddy. Let that go. Put it in their face, put it on their desk, put it in an email, put it in a video, put it someplace as an artifact that makes it unavoidable, and then come back and have a discussion about not being noticed. Do everything that you can to be noticed. If you're looking to go that like next level, and I only mean next level as in, I am cool with people that want to clock in and clock out in this business. If you're a teacher and that's what you want to do, fine. It is a job. It is a job. And it is a job that if you've done the paperwork and interviewed and been successful, you have a right to do that job. Of course, there's rules and regulations. I get that. But you also don't have to be the teacher that has anything extra going on. You don't have to be the jobber that actually contributes to the school, except outside your classroom. You don't have to. No coaching, no extra time, no lunchtime monitoring, no mentoring. You can do that and you are fine. If you're choosing, though, to step into that outside the silo of that work, then I think it's so important to figure out, how do I do it, not how do I expect them to notice? And very, very important. And because part of that is, I think if you choose to be in that state, then it really is on you to make sure that people are absolutely clear on the work that you're doing, absolutely clear on their contribution to your work, not yours to theirs. And I like operating that way. And some people kind of go, man, this guy's built different. But part of it is the podcasting that I've done. Part of it is the circles. Part of it, the questions that I ask that people answer, and I know they shouldn't, but they do. So the information gathering that I've had on this for a while, I will never put my mental wellness, my happiness, my job satisfaction in anyone's hands other than my own. And I don't always get what I want because of that. But I'm clear on what I did to contribute to my success, or didn't, or didn't. I said to someone the other day, maybe I said this to you too. I hate attaboy moments. Hate it. Hate it. I will be that built different guy and say, tell me more. And like, oh, like I will push that button just because it's flashing green. I'm like, okay, you gave me a compliment. What is it? What is it you're actually complimenting me on? Or, if it's critical analysis, could be that too, right? Could be something that, yeah, you really should consider. Oh, I should consider. Give me more details. Give me some details to consider then. Well, if you did this like this. And anyone that ever is quick to come and give me, critical support, I don't let them go until I fully understand what they're expecting me to do and the details of that expectation, because I'll never take it as a broad, wide-ranging kind of a thing. Well, if you just kind of used dashes instead of asterisks in your IEPs under, strengths and needs, what? Why use dashes instead of asterisks? Well, it's the consistency, just so you don't have some dashes and some asterisks. Oh, okay. Tell me more. And this is important. Why? And that by that point, the person's like, I got to get it onto my day. But I've got enough information to actually make a decision as to whether or not I'm going to use dashes or asterisks.
You dropped a lot of goodies there, as per usual.
Mm.
Attaboy.
Attaboy. Thanks, man.
AI Jesus joined us from Twitter. I believe his first name is Russ, which I just learned this morning. So Russ, AI Jesus, thanks.
It's
He
a
checked us out.
powerful handle.
It is. So a couple of things. So he said he had to step out, obviously, here it
Is it
says.
Jesus or is it Jesus?
I think it's Jesus. No, I
Okay.
don't think. I've been in spaces with AI Jesus. It's not AI Jesus. It's AI Jesus is or at least people have referred to him like that, and he's never said no, it's Jesus, not Jesus.
Mhm.
So I'm going with AI Jesus. AI Jesus is he's on X, Twitter, and he runs a space every couple of weekends on Sundays.
Can
Just
we call
about
it Twix?
we can. Have I ever told you that my buddy, Joe Marquez calls it Twix all the time?
I didn't know that. It's
Yeah,
just occurred
coffee
to me. I think
Twix.
we call
Yeah.
it Twix. Twix.
Um. Anyway, AI Jesus checked us out today, and maybe he'll come back and hang out a little bit more. Um.
I hope so because that did feel like an attaboy.
This felt like an attaboy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right?
hey AI Jesus, tell us more about why you think this is a great topic.
At some point, you know where to
Yeah.
find us. We'll probably be here next Saturday. You have access to Chids too, so you could always just drop him a DM or a message. Yeah, because that's a good attaboy
Good one.
moment, right? Yeah, yeah.
And maybe AI Jesus doesn't want to write a paragraph right
Doesn't
now,
have
but
to. One sentence.
Rochelle says that she used to be an 11th hour person when she was the only one working on a project, but being part of a teaching team has changed that.
Hmm. Hmm. Now Rochelle's a 13-hour person. 13th hour.
Right, because she's taking into account the other
That's
people.
right. Yeah. Fixing other people's shit. No.
It's it's we've been live for 41 minutes, almost 42, and I'm thinking I gotta go maybe in the next 10 to 15. So
I'm good.
that's awesome. Thank you. Um, do you want to drop our major announcement?
Oh yeah, major announcement, eh? So
Because
um
Rochelle and Gary, I think, are still here. They may
they
be interested
they
since
may
they
be
spend a
early
lot of time
adopters to
with
this.
us.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So just midweek, I message you and I say, "Hey, do we want to have a side space for conversations?" This morning we were talking. Maybe it could be like it's the off ramp kind of a mindset. So any discussions that we have here, obviously, are they're live, they're accessible to everybody. Um, and it's always it's cool to have a follow up space to share resources, push each other's thinking a little bit, maybe even push each other's buttons. It's something that sorry, I had a couple. There's a little had some little bit of gas there for a second. Apologize. Caught me off guard. Um, so it's really super simple premise. It's not really all that groundbreaking, but maybe a little bit groundbreaking for us. So I've started up a WhatsApp space, and it's our kind of version of free Patreon. Um, a way to sort of connect in discussion, to connect in um with intention, to work through some of the stuff that we talk about on the pod. The social element is not lost on it as well, but it's not the heart of it. We can do the check-in, we can do the hey, how you doing, you know, pizza photos, walking with the dog kind of posts, but the intention really is to dig in and call each other into action. So, okay, this is cool what we talked about. What's the evidence of your thinking? What's the outcome of your action? What legacy has that left in your school, on your career, on your sort of personal life, if you care to sort of go there? And that's the safe space. We've designed we've designed similar spaces in the past with the book club that we were a part of, and it was fruitful. It was fruitful because the topics really bloomed in this space. Sometimes people even made connections with each other, so it wasn't just the linear kind of like from me to from the administrators to the people back to the administrator. Like it wasn't this sort of linearity. There was some meshing going on, which was really nice, where then just people started talking with each other. So it's an offering, and if you are interested, I don't even know how you share that out. How do you share that out? Is it you would have to message directly, I guess, right? Is that the way it works?
I
Or
think the best way is to reach out to you or I and say that somebody's interested in being
Yeah.
part of the group.
Yeah, even,
We
you
can
wanna
add
test dri
you.
yeah, you wanna test drive it.
Or
That's
I think somebody could tell us and then we could send them a link or something. I
Yeah,
don't
there's
know.
a couple different ways. So I guess the best way, and I know there's a few people in the room here. I think, well, I don't know. Well, at least Gary and Rochelle showed up. But the kind of moving forward, the way it would work is, of course, I think we need to have your mobile number. Like, I think that's how WhatsApp works. It
Mhm.
comes specifically to your mobile number. Um, that's the offering. It really is. There is no plan to turn this into a paid platform. There is no plan to try and commodify or monetize this. It's just a full on. Is there stuff that pops up during the week that you kind of you want to hash out a bit? I'll tell you, me and Chids have. Actually, I won't do that. I have benefited greatly from. We use something called Marco Polo throughout the week, and it's probably It's probably more so now become the singularity for yours and my communication, just the check-ins and the like, what's going on, and that's a video messaging platform that doesn't completely destroy my data, which is good because I'm a fairly heavy user of it. And it's made the discussions at the end of the week. It clarifies it. It really does. We both roll in kind of knowing a little bit about where the week rolled for each other. There's still the spontaneous, like, what do you want to talk about moment, which is fantastic. Um, but yeah, WhatsApp, chat space, and moving forward, it would be great to get a few more people in on it. But we're looking for, I guess the the criteria for participation is that you're sort of willing to dig in deeper than we do here on the pod. And if you've listened to the pod, me and Shiz dig in. we keep pushing and we keep trying to find. Well, sometimes, I mean, once you get used to it, you don't have to work too hard to find another kind of angle or another perspective on a topic. Um, the one thing I will say, this may be limited time. It may be a limited run. It may be, because part of test driving a tool like this is that if we're looking for vibrancy, not stagnancy. So that active using, I don't just want to sit on it. For me to sort of manage another social space, there's labor involved. I am now post IAP season. I have time, so I have time to sort of consider this as a possibility for communication. So Gary, Rochelle, if you're in the least right now, Chids and I are both in that room. So um, I guess, faster access to the two of us. If I'm trying to shine it up as to, you'd have access to the both of us. You'd have access to some of the information on the fly because we would be populating it with some of our experiences throughout the week. And the opportunity to kind of share your experiences for us to discuss. So it would be our own, I guess, our community on and off ramp. So that's the sell. That's the
Thanks,
tip.
thanks for dropping that. And
Mhm.
I feel my perspective is you did a great job of kind of explaining the way you explained it to me. Um, I think I think like when you talked to me about this idea, I think it's a great way for people who are interested in kind of getting to the bare bones on ramp, off ramp stuff with us around almost any topic they want to talk about or we want to talk about, right? Like I think we've demonstrated that if you come to the Decoded podcast and you post your questions, comments, we don't ignore them. We take them into consideration. We talk about them. Um, they inform our discussion,
Mhm.
and I think that this WhatsApp community could be a great place to continue to hash things out that clearly are not going to get hashed out live because
Mhm.
again they're the layers of who we are, right? We are parents, we are members of the community, we are educators, So there's stuff that we're going to talk about in private that we're not going to talk about in public. Um, but the WhatsApp place can be more of that private conversation. I want to throw in that I believe that the WhatsApp community is also I would like it to be a safe space. So if
Mhm,
people are in there, I would like them to feel like they can say what's on their mind, and that you and I certainly won't be advertising their personal perspectives, and I would ask that they do the same for
mhm,
us. So I might be the broken record that if, every time we get a new person come in, I make the little announcement like, "Hey, this space is intended to be a private safe space." Unless
mhm,
something absolutely like you're going to harm somebody or somebody's harming you, we're like I'm not interested in telling people, "Hey, did you hear about Jimmy? He said this in the on WhatsApp." Like, no. It's a safe space. It's a place where you can say what you need to say. A lot of the things you and I talk about, they're born in the on ramp and the off ramp most of the time. I know there's still room for us to say what we want, what we think when
mhm,
we're in the middle of this, which is awesome. It's not scripted at all. We literally do what we want, how we want, because it works for us.
mhm.
So, yeah, it's a free Patreon. You don't have to pay to hang out and get content from us, or to be the ones that bring content.
Mhm.
Like, I think it can be cool. We'll see what
Well,
happens.
we know from experience that it is. Yeah, I mean,
True.
if you haven't participated in sort of like a community chat like that before, there can be some tentativeness. There can be, I mean, both of you, Gary and Rochelle, if you're both here, still, you've demonstrated a willingness just to discuss things in open and away from the pod. So, um, maybe for the two of you, you're like, yeah, we're good, and you have access to the two of us in differentiated ways. So this is just the moving forward opportunity. Because other thing too, WhatsApp, if people are not actively wanting to post directly on the YouTube feed or not wanting to use Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp is a space for these community discussions. So that's the pitch.
Gary says, sounds great.
Okay. So
Poor
that's an
Gary.
that's an attaboy. I'll take it, but that's an attaboy. I wonder. And Gary, you don't have to declare on the pod. Will Gary share a mobile number? Will Gary do it? Stay tuned.
Hey,
I will say too, can I add something to it? Is that there could be topics that pop in the WhatsApp that we do with permission bring back to the pod. No, but that's key, right?
no, no.
Because
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
will pop up there. But I want to be clear, it isn't just because you put something in the WhatsApp that right away that becomes fuel directly for yours or my discussion. And I'll
Mm,
say that flat out because, as you said, kind of what happens. We'll try what's in the community, we keep in the community. But I will say, if someone raises a really interesting point, I will ask them directly, may I talk about this on the pod? Now, if there's something that you or I raise, I'm more sort of at ease with thinking like, okay, we may raise this topic and talk about it openly. But as far as accounting or attributing it to any conversation that actually flowed within the WhatsApp space, that ain't a thing. But we may have a question that we pose to the group in the community that we may discuss on the pod as well. Like we're not drawing evidence from the chat. We're only would be drawing the evidence from like you and I if it's a topic that we go for. So I just kind of add that in.
funny story, I guess, before we shut it down.
Do it.
I don't remember. Somebody said something to me about our podcast
Hmm.
and it came up that Gary listens and or watches. And it came up that I think, remember the one week, maybe it was last weekend, we were hammering on Gary, and poor Gary was driving. So
That's right.
we're like,
Yeah.
Gary, you must respond now. You tell us what is happening or what poor Gary's like, I'm freaking driving. I can't be doing this. I told somebody that story and they were dying laughing. I don't remember who or the context. I just remember I was laughing, saying like, poor Gary's driving somewhere. And we're like, speak now, Gary. how dare you not say anymore or whatever. Like it'd be funny with the he says sounds great, and you're like, that's an attaboy, Gary. Come on, drop more. The poor guy's driving to Toronto or something.
That's right. That's right.
We expect more. But yeah, it was just funny because they know Gary, they know me, they heard about the podcast, and then I kind of put it all together. Like, yeah, we basically bullied Gary into pulling over and messaging.
I will say there's kind of like there's also something I just curious. Like I would love to know what Gary looks like. I would love to know
Oh,
what Rochelle looks like. No, I just say that it just kind of occurred to me, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
because part of it is they're disembodied participants. So there is this kind of funny. I guess I don't. We could friend each other on Facebook too. We could kind of do that. But it just kind of occurred to me, like as you say, Gary, my brain creates imagery, and there's actually for whatever reason the image that goes in there. I have no clue why this happened. Is of this dude John Gorman, who's our one of our guidance counselors.
Oh,
It's just like for some reason, like that's the photo that just kind of came up in my head, and I have no reason to do that. My brain completely random photo and just put that as your profile pic in my head.
that's
John Gorman's
hilarious.
John Gorman's a nice guy. I don't know how that got I don't know how those neurons got connected. I don't know.
I
Rochelle, I don't have an image. I have no
There's no
clue.
image.
Nothing. I don't even think because I Rochelle, we have, I think Rochelle and I have DM'd on Facebook, but I don't know if I've ever made the time to go then say, take a look at their profile picture.
This is wild to me because I know both of them. So
Mhm.
I'm not, this is wild that you're literally sitting there. You're like, I don't know what these two people look like,
Mhm.
which is hilarious because I do, but I've never considered that you don't. Um, so a couple of things here. Rochelle says she's interested. She'll DM us, which is awesome. That's great, Rochelle. And then Gary says probably better than the real thing. LOL. Now I want to know what this Gorman guy looks like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. He
Guidance counselor, huh?
guidance counselor, yeah. Yeah.
That's
He's been
cool.
doing guidance at the school that I've been at for a few years now.
That's cool.
When I first met him maybe 20 years ago because I worked with his spouse. So I first met him way back then.
Mrs. Gorman.
Yes, hyphenated. Yep, hyphenated. Mulrine Gorman. Yep, Mulrine
Interesting.
Gorman. Yep, yep.
And I have
Hyphenated.
no idea what AI Jesus looks like. I just picture Jesus with his hands up in the air.
Mhm.
Jesus, if you will. Um,
It's a great. I like the color picture. Powerful name. Powerful name. Like that blending of the AI, Jesus, and GPT. That's clocking some pretty major clout with that handle.
that's a hardcore. My experience with AI Jesus is he's created a GPT to provide people with I want to say words of wisdom, but really they're words of faith, um, to guide you along your way. So he's literally using the power of AI connected to the faith that Jesus belongs to, and bringing those two things together for good instead of evil. That's He'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what my experience with AI Jesus is. I've even used his little chat bot. It's kind of cool. It's
Mhm.
cool, and he's working on refining it or whatever. But yeah, he's bringing the two together, and I love that. I, oh man, I don't want to dig into this now because I gotta go. But
Artificial intelligence, Jesus, generative, pre-trained transformers. That's what he's got locked in there. That's just in case, I don't know, Rochelle, Gary, if you've ever wondered what GPT stands for. Generative pre-trained transformers. Basically, neural network.
yeah,
Neural network has created a network that once it's trained, set it, forget it. Set it, forget it.
I've always been a huge fan of attaching technology, innovation, and now AI. I've always loved intermingling those things with my faith.
I was I was just about to ask you if that's provocative to you at all to have the
No,
word Jesus between
no.
those two um earthbound entities.
You know why? Because he's trying to do something good with it. He's trying to build people, not break them down. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
all I that's I like that. Like I like building people up, even though I told you at the start I hate people. Um, and I don't mind sharing that openly. Last night I told a couple of people that I hated people. So
It's layered. It's
it's layered.
let me be your quick defense lawyer. I'm like, it's layered. It's layered.
Um,
Layered.
but I've always enjoyed bringing those two things together, and I always enjoy Rochelle's probably clutching her pearls right now because, and I say that in jest, Rochelle, because I know Rochelle's very much into her faith, but takes her role as a Catholic educator seriously in a way that she flexes on the religious component to make it belong in the everyday function of a school, which she's a leader in that space. I love that. What I want to get at is I love when we do something innovative connected to the faith and then watch the faithful either lose their mind or look at you puzzled, because my experience with the rank and file of the church is that they seem to be concerned. They've always demonstrated concern um, when someone like me tries to do that. And my thing is, hey, this is where the people are at. I'm just telling you that maybe if we did this and this, we could bring that message to the people where they're at. And I get there's all kinds of concerns on their end, but I don't work in their end. I'm on the ground with the people, and I'm like, this is what I see the people doing, and this is what maybe we could do. So I'll give you an example. Years ago, when I taught grade two, it's a sacramental year, two sacraments in one year. I remember saying to the parish priest connected to the school, wouldn't it be awesome if we could create an iPhone app where parents and students can do things around these sacraments on their phones, because they're always on their phone anyway. So why can't we create something that they can literally use to help them learn without them knowing they're learning? And he was all for it. He's like, what do you mean? And he found a university kid that was connected to the church who was playing around with code and stuff. It never came to fruition. Um, because that person tapped out, which is that's fine too. Everything was voluntary, everything was experimental. But I had this idea: if we got kids using these devices, we got parents using these devices. Why can't we bring this to them in a way that they can really um, incorporate it into their lives without really incorporating into their lives? Stuff like that, right? So all this to say, I what I think AI Jesus is doing, and I know people are probably dying that he's using the word Jesus in there for sure. Me, nah. You do what you want. You want to do that, do that. I think he's trying to build people up, not break them down. So Rochelle says thanks. Anytime, Rochelle. Make sure the check's in the mail.
Ding ding.
Chris, is there anything you want to end with before we go?
No.
Okay. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving to you and to all our listeners across the world.
May our followers be filled with gratitude. Go in peace.
Oh, go in peace. I like the layers. Rochelle says she's intrigued how to make it more accessible. Rochelle, have you ever seen my video of a drone in a church? Have you seen that, Rochelle? I'll give it two thumbs up to Father Cruz at St. John's Roman Catholic Parish in Kitchener. When I told him, Father, I want to fly my drone in your church and get some cool footage, he was like, go nuts.
Seeing the spaces that people can't.
Royalty enters the room.
Oh!
Royalty enters right at the end. Carlos, why are you
Oh.
doing this? I gotta go, and then you jump in, Carlos.
Oh. Brother, that's awesome.
Brother
Great to
Carlos.
see you pop up in here, brother C. That's awesome.
Carlos, welcome. Thanks for
Welcome.
checking us out in real time. Carlos is probably driving. Carlos is a busy guy, man. He coaches football and stuff.
So Gary, Rochelle,
Oh,
Carlos, Gary, Rochelle. Who knows if you folks are connected at all? But that's love it.
Gary is best friends with Carlos's one of Carlos's brothers. So Gary grew up with Carlos, is my understanding. Isn't that
Nice.
crazy?
No, I
Oh,
love it though.
okay. And now, oh
It's
God,
okay. This
Carlos.
is good. This is, you know what? No, this is good. This is all we need though. Just a taste. Just
Okay,
a taste, right?
just
That's what that's we have to be able to say this is enough. This is enough. It was good to see the name pop up. But it's just a taste. At some point, maybe Carlos will come back. He'll come
and
back, he'll participate, he'll be here. But this is what we were like. It's like level one satisfied. I
Carlo,
love
and
it.
he's so entitled. He's dropping comments in here. So, Chris, if you have a couple of minutes, I gotta do this because
Okay. I have the yeah, I'm good. I'm good to 9:30. That's my
okay. Carlos did something very innovative with the church, and I got to say this because I don't know if Rochelle knows about this. Carlos was part of a group who went to he took his students to the local church connected to his school, and they took images and they created a 3D glasses experience of the church for kids and parents to put your 3D goggles or your VR goggles on and your phone in it, go to this Google program, and you can literally tour the church and learn about all the different parts of the building and what the symbols mean in the building. He was part of this wicked project. So talk about mixing technology with the faith to bring the faith to the people. Carlos did that. So he's big time in that realm, I would say. So if I need to talk to somebody about stuff like that, I can talk to Carlos easily. So now I'm gonna drop some of these comments in here, and I'm just gonna fly through. But King Carlos enters the room, and it's like he's killing me. Okay, so this is what we got here. Rochelle's intrigued by the tech and faith connected, how we can make it more accessible. Of course, Rochelle would come from that vantage point. How can we make it more accessible? Carlos drops the happy Thanksgiving. Rochelle drops the joyeux l'action de grâce canadien. Same to you, Rochelle. And then Carlos, have a great weekend, guys. Rochelle's going to look up the video. Rochelle, if you struggle finding it, I can send you the link. It's on my school board uh, YouTube page. Carlos dropping flowers, saying Rochelle's a beautiful soul. Carlos with the good day, guys. Oh, Carlos with the I always listen to you guys at work. I got to remember not to drop so many F bombs because Carlos, we don't need any problems. It was, oh, Christ the King Cathedral in Hamilton. That's where you did it, right, Carlos? So Carlos didn't just do it in the local church. Carlos goes to he goes to the bishop's home. He does King Carlos,
nice.
right? Rochelle says, "Thanks, Carlos. You're a wonderful person. I enjoyed talking to you." Okay, they do know. She does know about Carlos' project.
Nice.
Great.
Nice. I like the mesh. I
Yes,
like the mesh.
the hearts from Decoded Podcast. That's awesome.
I'm in
Uh,
there in the background. I dropped some
I
stuff.
love it. I love it. And then Carlos says, "Let me get it for you." And oh my God, Chris, you're on fire too. King Chris with King Carlos. Oh yeah, Carlos, you're gonna have to listen to earlier. Chris is selling a WhatsApp chat that's free. That makes
Hmm.
sense. Selling a
Hmm.
free product.
Yeah,
Um,
very affordable. Very affordable.
you might be interested. Holy cow. It's like I
But
got
Carlos, it would be cool. Like, here's the other thing too. Like when I'm tracking back to one of our previous Foodapaloozas, and there's a spirit and a joy to the conversation that Carlos does have. So Carlos, and I've experienced this firsthand, the WhatsApp space, we're pushing it as a safe space to kind of to dig deeper, but to make it action based. You want to be a part of it. You want to be here. Let kids know, and we'll take some of the topics from here. Like last week, it was all about the to do and the to be list and the heart head gut connection. So would have loved to sort of spread that discussion out during the week, have people kind of share their experiences, um, their on the fly observations. It's cool, and both Chids and I have, I would say, the best professional development, which I can't even sort of frame it like that so simply, but the singular best professional development that I've engaged in over the last 8 years, 6 episodes, 312 moments, has been this discussion, this extended discussion about education, wellness, um, being a dad, being an educator. How do you connect those dots singularly? Um, just the only downside is that Chids and I have hoarded it for ourselves, kind of a weird way, because it's completely out in the open. And I think if you're to go back to like our first season, we're still talking and connecting in the same way we did there. There's just so much to get to. So the WhatsApp space will be an extension of that. And there is no plan to monetize or commodify it. It's just a way for us to connect offline if people want to go deeper and share resources. Yeah. In your time. You don't have to wait to the end of the week to jump in. I still hope, everybody does. But if you want to connect along the fly, this is the way to do it. This is how the kids do it, right? This is how they do it.
Okay. Geez, leave it to Carlos to just jump in and be treated like royalty. King Carlos.
It's good stuff.
It is good stuff. So, Chris, I wish you a happy Canadian Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Same to you. Peace, peace, peace.
Thank you. I will take that piece and I will hold on to it because I'm looking for some of that this weekend.
Everyone else,
Yeah.
go in peace.
Oh, Chris, you're riffing now, bro. Okay, anyway, this
cheeky. I'm being cheeky. I am.
Carlos,
love you too.
Leaves us, guys.
Love you too, CR. You're a good dude.
This was season 8, episode 6, number 312 of the Decoder Podcast. Peace, everybody.